Ever experienced a heat wave so intense you thought you were going to melt? Well, you're not alone. We've all been there, right? When the mercury climbs so high it seems to have forgotten there's a limit. That's an extreme heat wave for you. Uncomfortable? Absolutely. But it's more than just a sweaty inconvenience. It's a potential health risk. Dehydration, heat exhaustion, heat stroke. These are serious conditions that can occur when the human body is exposed to excessive heat. And those are just the immediate effects. Long-term extreme heat can exacerbate existing health problems, particularly in the elderly and the very young. What's more, these extreme heat waves are becoming more frequent, not just in traditionally hot places, but all over the world. Yes, our planet is feeling the heat, but what exactly causes these extreme heat waves? It's not just the sun doing overtime. Heat waves start their journey in the atmosphere way above us. A fascinating world of swirling gases and powerful winds, the atmosphere is home to high-pressure systems, key players in the birth of a heat wave. High-pressure systems, as the name suggests, are regions where the atmospheric pressure is higher than the surrounding areas. Imagine a giant invisible hand pressing down on the atmosphere. This pressure pushes air downwards, compressing it near the Earth's surface. Now, we all know from our grade school science classes that when you compress a gas, it heats up. So the air near the surface becomes warmer, leading to a rise in temperatures. But that's not all. High-pressure systems are a bit like over-enthusiastic bouncers at a club. They not only bring the heat, but also make sure it doesn't leave. They trap this warm air near the surface, preventing it from rising and cooling off. This results in a blanket of hot air enveloping the region beneath the high-pressure system. Now, if this system is on the move, the heat wave would be relatively short-lived. But sometimes these high-pressure systems decide to take a break. They become stationary, hovering over a particular area for several days, even weeks. And with our relentless bouncer not letting the heat escape, the temperatures continue to build up day after day. The longer the system stays put, the more intense the heat wave becomes. It's a bit like turning up the thermostat and then jamming the control so you can't turn it back down. Before you know it, you're in the midst of a full-blown heat wave with scorching temperatures that can pose serious health risks and impact daily life. So we have our high-pressure system and it's keeping the heat in place, but what happens next? Well, that's a story for another scene. The birth of a heat wave is just the beginning. The intensity and impact of these extreme weather events can be quite devastating, but understanding their genesis is the first step towards better preparation and response. Now, our heat wave is in full swing, but how does it get from hot to extreme? You see, a few factors come into play here, and they all work together to turn up the temperature. First, let's talk about drought. You've probably heard the phrase, "it's a dry heat." Well, that phrase has a lot of truth to it. When an area is suffering from drought, there's less moisture in the soil and in the air. This lack of moisture means that the sun's heat isn't absorbed and dissipated as efficiently, leading to higher temperatures on the ground. So a drought can be a sort of a preheater for a heat wave, setting the stage for temperatures to skyrocket. Next, we have the wind, or rather, the lack of it. Wind can help to disperse heat, moving warm air away and bringing in cooler air. But in a heat wave, high-pressure systems often stall over an area, effectively blocking the wind. This means the heat gets trapped with nowhere to go, and temperatures start to rise. Now let's add high humidity to the mix. Humidity can make a hot day feel even hotter, as it slows down our body's ability to cool itself through sweating. So a heat wave combined with high humidity can create dangerously hot conditions. Lastly, we have urban heat islands. These are areas in cities that are significantly hotter than surrounding rural areas. Buildings, roads, and other structures absorb and re-emit the sun's heat, leading to higher temperatures. This effect can make cities sweltering hotspots during a heat wave. So when we talk about a heat wave turning extreme, we're referring to a combination of these factors. It's not just the sun beating down on us, it's the drought, the stalled wind, the humidity, and the urban heat islands, all conspiring to intensify the heat. So, we now know how a heat wave turns extreme. But what exactly does this mean for us? Extreme heat waves don't just mean extra ice cream and pool time, they can have serious consequences. In the blink of an eye, temperatures can soar, making everyday tasks a challenge. The searing heat can take a toll on our health, leading to an increase in heat-related illnesses such as heat exhaustion and heat stroke. The elderly, the young, and those with pre-existing health conditions are particularly vulnerable. But it's not just us humans who suffer. Our furry friends, wildlife and livestock can also face health risks, from dehydration to heat stress. Their natural habitats can change drastically, disrupting ecosystems and threatening biodiversity. The impact extends to our infrastructure too. Energy consumption can skyrocket as we crank up our air conditioners and fans in a bid to stay cool. This increased demand can strain our power grids, leading to blackouts and energy shortages. And let's not forget about the impact on our food supply. Agriculture can take a serious hit as crops wilt under the punishing sun, and livestock struggle in the blistering heat. Droughts caused by extreme heat can result in water shortages, compounding the problem and leading to food scarcity. But there's a bigger picture here. These extreme heat waves aren't just isolated events. They're a symptom of a changing climate. As global temperatures rise, extreme heat waves are expected to become more frequent and more intense. We're not just talking about a few extra hot days in summer. We're talking about prolonged periods of extreme heat that can disrupt our lives, our economies, and our ecosystems. That's why understanding extreme heat waves is so crucial. By grasping the causes, impacts, and risks, we can develop strategies to mitigate their effects. We can adapt our infrastructure, develop heat-tolerant crops, and implement policies to reduce our carbon footprint. Understanding extreme heat waves is the first step towards mitigating their effects. Stay cool, stay hydrated, and remember, knowledge is power.